Hey everybody, welcome back to During Business Hours. My name is Christopher. Thanks for joining us today. We have Chris Andrew, phone flipper extraordinaire, with us today to share some of his story. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing great.
Where were you born and raised? Where's your hometown?
I was born in Milford, Connecticut. I was born and raised there. I moved out of there when I was 19, or yeah, 19.
How old are you
Moved
now?
28.
So you knew Mike Malak.
Mike Malak, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He did not like my brother.
Yeah, he's a big podcast superstar now, but
Yeah, he was
um
from Milford, Connecticut.
yeah, he was bit of a bad boy,
Yeah, he
fentanyl
would do
user.
drugs. He would do a lot of heroin behind the library.
Yep, I've
Actually,
heard stories from over there because everyone, when they're from Milford, Connecticut, which is like one of the more dangerous areas. Uh,
Milford's actually really safe, but it's when you go to New Haven.
New
New
Haven,
Haven,
yeah.
New Haven is really bad. It's like in the top. It was in the top 10 for worst cities, but I don't know about anymore.
When did you leave Milford?
I moved out of there. I think I was 19. I had an ex-girlfriend at the time, so I didn't want to move. And then living in Connecticut just got too hard by myself. And then my mom offered me to essentially live with her rent-free in Florida, so I just took it.
What part of
Yeah,
Florida?
it was Lando Lakes, Florida. So Lando Lakes butter.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Lando Lakes, Florida. It's right outside of Tampa. So if I get right on the highway, I'm like 15, 20 minutes from Tampa. But
How was
tech,
Hurricane Ian for you?
man, we got lucky. We got
Yeah.
lucky. It ditched us last second. We were supposed to get hit head on directly with like a category 5. Then it shifted, and then it shifted towards Fort Myers, which is like about 3 hours away from us, and they got wrecked. They got destroyed.
I saw the videos. Yeah.
Yeah, they got absolutely destroyed. So I mean, it sucks for them, but I'm happy for us because
Yeah.
I didn't prep at all. Because everyone here is like, oh, this happens all the time. There's going to be no hurricane.
That's what people say. I'm moving to Oklahoma. I know I've talked to you about. And they're like
Yeah,
tornadoes once every 10 years. And I'm like, well, it hasn't happened in 12 years. And I'm moving
yeah.
out. And so I got estimates for insurance, and tornado insurance is expensive. It's like commercial
Is it?
grade insurance cost.
Geez.
I was surprised.
Yeah,
Going.
I rent where I live right now, but my landlords asked me to put the hurricane shutters up and asked me to pay for it. So I ended up doing that only because of my son, essentially. Like I didn't, if there was a hurricane or anything bad, we weren't evacuating. So I ended up biting the bullet and just paid to put the shutters up. But I thought it was kind of ridiculous how these landlords asked me to protect their investment.
Well, take them with you.
Yeah,
It's
I
not. It's
should.
not going to be your
Well,
house.
yeah, I really should.
Yeah. My commercial landlord had me put in like new sinks, faucets, stuff like that, and then said I was liable for their air conditioning on a different story. But
Yeah.
everything I fix, if I touch it, I own it. I got to be petty about it because they're going to be petty to the next person. You know.
That's so true.
Yeah. I tell everyone I'm a certified asshole when I need to be, but I'll be your best friend otherwise.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so you moved when you were 19 to Florida, moved in with
yeah,
your mom.
yeah.
What were you doing for work when you were younger?
So I actually always basically worked for myself. Besides, when I was like 15, I had a job at this restaurant called Mama Teresa's. I was a food runner. So I would just essentially run the food for the servers to their tables. And that was like the only job I ever really had. Then I started up like my entrepreneur journey. I was mowing lawns, shoveling driveways with snow, doing things like that just to build up money. And then I eventually bought a truck and like started up a little landscaping company. And I got a contract with foreclosed houses with the banks. I don't remember what year it was, but this was before the government first like shut down officially.
Hmm.
So this was a while back, but I got a contract with all these banks. I was doing all these foreclosed homes, and I think I was like 18 years old, fresh out of high school, and I was making about like $2,500 a week doing
And you were
this.
still in Connecticut at this time.
Yeah, I was still in Connecticut, and everything was going great. I was getting paid, and then all of a sudden, the government shut down, and the banks stopped getting paid or stopped getting paid to take care of their property, essentially,
Yeah.
which led me to stop getting paid. But they were still giving me the work, so I was still doing the work, and kind of just got into the cycle of where I wasn't getting paid, but still had to pay my friends. And that kind of just brought me on a downward spiral to where then I had to essentially move in with my mom.
Yeah.
but
So,
that
so
made
you
me
so
learn a
when you
lot of stuff.
left Milford, you
Yeah.
just that business shut down. Was it sole
Yeah, I
proprietor?
sold. Yeah, I sold the equipment I had, sold the truck, and just kind of shut everything down.
That's got to be rough, especially at 18. It's like, oh, I
Yeah,
got my dreams going. I'm a big
yeah,
business owner. Start dreaming big.
yeah.
What did that feel like when it happened?
Ah, man, it sucked, but I was so young at the time. Like I knew that there was just so much time left and so many more opportunities. And at the end of the day, I knew I didn't want to be a landscaper for the rest of my life. I just liked the money that was being made from it. So at the end of the day, it was a blessing. And I knew, I mean, at the time I was definitely sad because I didn't want to go work a regular job or go be a server again. So I kind of just didn't do anything for a while and just kind of let my money just dwindle away
Yeah,
and kind of got into like a little
savings.
depression over it, but nothing too serious. And then, I mean, just as you get older, you realize it wasn't that big of a deal.
How does that translate that depression you were in into getting into fighting? Were you always in martial arts, or were you
Yeah,
just?
I wrestled my whole entire life. So I grew up wrestling.
Hmm.
So I always had that structure and background. The fighting just kind of came because I was just kind of an asshole, and to I just liked to fight. Like in school, we would fight in the gym locker rooms, things like that. So it just got me into wanting to go to a martial arts gym, and then I got into the martial arts gym at like 16 years old, and just ever since that, I've been just basically in MMA my whole life. Now I've been in a time period for the past 2.5, 3 years where I haven't really trained or taken any fights because I've been just building my business. But it's always something in the back of my mind, and definitely martial arts formed me to definitely be the businessman that I am today.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
when you got to Florida, is that the first thing you did was start fighting, or did you start up a new business?
No, I actually started working again with my mom was a part-time server at this Italian restaurant with who her friends were the owner.
Hmm.
So she got me a job there. I started serving tables there, and it was more of a high-end restaurant, so the tips were a lot higher.
Hmm.
So I was making good money. And then I met actually a realtor um, who was one of my servers, and they were like, "Dude, you should do like think about doing real estate." So that kind of got me thinking. So I started real estate school, got my real estate license with my mom, and then we started doing that up.
A
So we
lot of
did that
people,
for about
yeah.
a couple of years.
A lot of people lately have been telling me about real estate is now booming again. A lot of the people who aren't making it in the electronics field, since electronics is, getting hit with a bunch of different blows, and
Yeah,
they're moving to being real estate investors, brokers,
yeah.
salesmen.
It's not what it's made. I mean, there's great money to be made in it,
Mhm.
but it's not all sunshine and rainbows because you have to get the deal. You have to find first, you have to find buyers. Then you have to show them houses. You have to sometimes show them houses for 30, 40, 60 days. Then once you get them under contract, you have to wait another 40, 60 days for the to go under underwriting and for them to get approved to close. But then in that time period, you have to like make sure you're on top of your clients that they're not charging up furniture, going to buy all this stuff because at any time these deals just fall apart and then you kind of have to go back to square one
Yeah,
and start all over again. So to make real money as a real estate agent, like selling, you have to it's going to take a lot of time. It's not you're not going to be able to just stop selling phones or whatever you're doing, transfer over to real estate and start making even a full-time income.
I think as we both know, it there's money in everything. That's how you make
Yeah.
it. And something that comes up a lot is nowadays there's a lot of people that do the bait and switch, the sales techniques where it's like I'm gonna give you A, but really it's disguised B, and
Yeah.
it's getting more prevalent in every industry. So
Yeah.
these houses, even they're going up for sale so fast. The people in the market are like, it'll never go down. I'm like, when people start to see that their A grade house is not so turnkey, it's more of a B minus C plus
Yeah.
house, then they're going to be pissed, and these loans are going to start falling through again. It's going to be
Yeah.
2008 all over again. Just not as
Exactly.
many
And then
banks that
and
are in
then
it.
even trying to be like a real estate investor right now, you're competing with like Wall Street money, essentially, people who are corporations just buying up whatever
Grant
property they
Cardone. Yep.
can. Yeah. So it's just a hard thing to get into.
So where does electronics play into all this? How does flipping
So
play
yeah,
into all
so
this?
where it all started was real estate was starting to get slow. I started getting more involved into MMA, starting training 2, 3 times a day. Um, and I started needing money. And my fiance or girlfriend at the time, now fiance, was like, oh, when I was younger, I used to just find some phones like iPhone 5s on like, I think it was Craigslist at the time, and she would resell them to people at her school. And that triggered an idea in my head. So then I went on YouTube and I think his name's like Khalid, something like that. But he was talking about phone flipping a lot. So then I went on Facebook Marketplace. I probably sent out like 500 messages of just super low ball offers
Yeah.
to every iPhone listed. And I finally got someone, I think it was an iPhone 7. Shoot, I think I paid maybe like $120 for it, but I sold it like the next day on Facebook for like 250. And that right there got me hooked. And then it just kind of trickled into that where I would just keep going on Facebook Marketplace, lowball people for phones and try to do that. And I was getting money to where I could now start like not having to really worry about these real estate deals, and I could train more for MMA.
Yeah.
And that just essentially led into me taking the skills I knew from Facebook ads, from like doing drop shipping and Shopify stores like that. And I tried it with phones, and then like within 2 days of me having ads running, it was just bing, 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 like phones coming in left and right. And ever since that, I never stopped a paid Facebook ad ever since. And now it like I just turned into a full-time gig.
So I'm not
And
hearing any downside. So
yeah, no, there was no downside really, to be
you didn't get
honest.
banned, you didn't get blocked, you didn't never
No,
had
I mean there
no.
was times, so like OfferUp, with these free ads, like I would post on OfferUp, and people would flag me, and then OfferUp would ban my account, ban my IP, and that to me was like a huge deal because I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to like use OfferUp anymore.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like once you get past those few days and that bad time and like that moment, you realize it doesn't really matter too much, and just things keep on going. And as long as you're staying consistent in like your daily actions, it always works out.
So how do you
At least,
deal with the people that rip, now that you are the phone flipper, the go-to guy for most people? I'd say out of 100 people, you probably get recommended 75 times.
yeah, a
You
lot
got
of a lot of
yeah.
recommendations.
There's a lot of people that rip your content. That there's a guy who's doing you essentially have a program right now where you do hands-free phone flipping.
Yeah, yeah, I
Nobody has
just
to
launched that.
message. Leads come to you. All you got to do is pick up and pay. You take a
Yeah,
percentage. It's a fantastic program. But in the first 3 hours you posted that thing, I saw three competitors post,
yeah,
let's try this with you. Let's try. People reached out to me and I'm like, no, I'm working with somebody else. I don't really tell people who I'm working with. It's just, I work with you on ads. So here you
yeah,
go. There's your information. Um, but it's so funny that people reach out and they're like, hey, do this. I'll pay you. I had asked one gentleman, I was like, hey, so if you're going to put up that much money to it, how about we put 25 grand into an escrow and meet these conditions? We'll have a contract, we'll notarize it, winner take all.
yeah,
Because this guy had doubled your promises of
yeah. Oh,
financing for
I know
half
who
the
you're.
amount.
I Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and it was an outrageous promise too.
Crazy.
Yeah, outrageous promise. I tell everyone, as of now, I think what makes me the go-to guy is I'm just very straightforward. I'm honest. I don't, as of now, I don't have any contracts in place, no commitments. There's no hard feelings. So if people stop working with me, I don't start trashing your name. I don't start anything. It's business is business. So I keep
Mhm.
everything separate. If we have a friendship on the side, I keep it like that. But when business is business, so I don't really mix the two.
Yeah.
Um, and I just kind of tell people how it is. I don't give unreal expectations. And if your expectations are too low, I'll tell you. And if they're too high, I'll also tell you.
Yeah.
So,
It's different because a lot of the guys I've worked with, and I'm currently working with a guy who does the SEO and like Facebook, Google management right now.
yeah.
SEO in this industry is horrible, just because Google ads got taken, I would
Yeah.
say F 9 ways out of 10.
Yeah.
So there's a decline in the Google revenue for what has taken. Google's trying to partner with other carriers and things like that. But we run an electronics repair store instead of a cell phone repair store, and all of
Yeah.
them are titled as electronic repair stores. So similar to like hobby stores that do repairs
Yeah.
on drones and remote control cars. And so it's technically legal to their policies, but for some
Yeah.
reason, anything with Apple, they boot it. I got banned in 2020 on my business manager account and my Google Ads account when I first started working with you
Yep.
because what was it? Repair Lift had done some really odd
Yeah.
um, repair slash hey sale generate lead problems, but all from Canada. And at the time, there was the election. So, do you ever have any customers that have been banned on their business manager or ad account like that, working with you, generating ads?
So lately, I've noticed Facebook's, I don't know if it's their automated system or whatever it is really jammed up and messed up because I'll, I think this was actually, I made a post about it on my Facebook. Maybe it was like 3 or 4 days ago. I had 6 clients all at once. Their ads were active for about 2, 3, 4 days. And then all at once, they took them all down and said we were talking about medical conditions, race, and a bunch of outrageous things.
Politics, yeah.
Yeah, so I think their automated system is just very wonky and messed up.
See, I found a guy who I had to pay, what was it, like $2,500 for the business manager account to unlock. And
That's
so
crazy.
great service. He was very upfront that, hey, it's a big cost, but there's people on the inside of Facebook that flag these things because there's an agenda. And so I'll say it publicly on YouTube because it's not their platform. Better
Yeah,
kiss my ass. Um, and so for $2,500, I got the accounts back. And it took a little while to generate to shake off the ban, because all of a sudden
yeah,
it has to re-lead out and put your content. But man, as soon as people started getting banned like a month ago, people are reaching out and he was like, oh, don't put my name out there so much. It's getting heavy. You're going to see a wave. And hearing that now, it's crazy. What would you do today if Facebook ads got banned?
ooh. Mm. Well, for my own business, for my own cell phone business here locally in Florida, I wouldn't be too worried because I have built over the past 5 years, I've built up a lot of families who sell to me every time they upgrade their phone. It doesn't matter if it's every once a year, 2 times a year, they come to me and always sell me their device. So in that standpoint, I would be okay for my phone flipping business. But as for the marketing standpoint and everything that I offer, man, I that would be hard because if Facebook goes down, that means then there's no Instagram. So really, I don't I don't know. I don't know what I would transfer to or how I would offer to help other people's business if those platforms went away. Maybe go to the Truth Network or whatever Trump's network is called,
Yeah.
if they have ads or
So it sounds like a bad thing that you don't have a plan B, but
yeah, yeah,
in most cases, as a business owner, there shouldn't be. And I found a lot of people where it's, okay, I can go to Realty or I can go to McDonald's, grab a job. There's always a plan B.
yeah,
I can go back to
yeah.
school.
Yeah.
People who
I mean, I
don't,
always will have the phone stuff to fall on. I would just have to figure out how to build it differently locally.
yeah,
And then if I built out systems locally that worked for me here, then I would have to try to figure out how to duplicate that for other people locally, but still being remote here in Florida.
how, because we worked together in 2020, you had a son soon after
Yeah.
2021, right?
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 1.5.
I don't envy you, man. I'm going through, what is it? The regression of twos or terrible twos with my son, two and a
I,
half.
I
And it
think my
didn't,
son's hitting this early.
yeah, it didn't hit until like two and a quarter, two and a third. And now he's back in our bed, not wanting to sleep.
Yeah.
All fun. But how did you manage living in Florida
Yeah.
through a pandemic, pregnant fiance, and
Yeah.
starting this big of a business in that amount of time?
Yeah, a lot of just honestly, I know it sounds corny, but a lot of dedication and just hard work. And I know a lot of people say it, but like just really like a lot of no sleepless nights and wearing masks, hand sanitizing the phones,
Yeah.
having wipes, everything um, especially when she was pregnant during the pandemic. Yeah, everything was sanitized, wiped down, um, just taking all the extra steps. I would keep the phones like we lived in a small apartment, so there wasn't like a lot of space we could keep them, but I would keep everything as far away as possible, where she wouldn't really go near. And yeah, and just building up the marketing stuff when I had time, essentially when I wasn't out picking up phones or trying to get stuff ready for having a son.
Yeah. And
But yeah, it's just a
it's got
lot
to
of just
be,
dedication.
we're beneficial enough to live next to our in-laws who help out. My family's down the road. So
Yeah,
we've always had a support system through COVID, and luckily my son was born a month before COVID started,
yeah,
February 2020. But I
yeah,
couldn't imagine having then to run a business and have a pregnant wife. I've
yeah.
got two kids. So it was a
And have to
little,
do all like yeah, had to do all the grocery shopping, had to do everything essentially because you can't send someone out who's really pregnant out in a pandemic
yeah.
grocery shop.
So what did you do? You started what? Wizard? You had your own coin at
Yeah,
one point.
yeah, I had a lot of failed businesses.
Yeah.
We had a Starpup, which was a crypto coin. I wouldn't say it was failed because we did make a lot of people a lot of money. So there was people, obviously, in any crypto coin, it depends on when you buy and sell and when you get in. So a lot of people in the cell phone industry got in really early and bought coins really cheap,
Yeah.
but then they also were able to sell for a lot of money. And once there wasn't a lot of liquidity in the coin because we started from nothing, so every time people would buy, liquidity would get added in. But when you have people who make they buy in day two of they see my Facebook post, they get trillion coins for like $200, and then the market cap goes up. We got it up to about I think $10 million. So some people had bags that were worth 30 to $100,000 plus. They
Hmm.
start selling, and then it just kind of trickles down from there. And there's really no reviving it besides dumping more money into it. So that ended up failing. Then we had shoot the
So are you
software.
saying that I am responsible for killing Starpup?
Was that you?
I bought and sold a bunch, yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't make a
I
lot of
lost
money
a
off
lot
of
of
it.
money, my own money personally. I lost about 50,000 in Startup.
Is that just from the investment into the back end?
Just marketing, paying for marketing, investing in my own coins and then not selling.
Yeah, the selling point is I waited a long time to sell Starpup because I saw that you guys were doing the poker and all that,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
I was excited to do, natural addicted gambler, and
yeah,
that just didn't go through with me. But I did the same thing with Safe Moon and held on too long. I could have
yeah, man.
had
Rip-
200 grand and just
Yeah,
didn't. I was like,
I
it's gonna
had
go to
40.
5 million.
Yeah, I had 40 grand in Safe Moon. It got up, pumped up to 40 grand. And I was like, I'm not going to sell. I'm just going to keep going. I trust these guys. And then it kept dipping, dipping, dipping,
Rug.
dipping. Yeah. Yeah.
So you went from Star Pup. This is all post pandemic, right? We're already
Yeah,
kicked
yeah.
in. We're locked
Startup was
down.
in May. Startup
Yeah.
was in May of last year.
And so 2021, you start Star Pup. How does Wizards come in?
Wizard came in. So I'll be honest, I kind of stole an idea from two people that were starting to push drop shipping a lot.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna come up with a software and ride their wave. But and it started off really well, but the developers for the software took too long. So that wave kind of died down.
Yeah.
So we got the software developed. We paid a lot of money too, and it's a really good software, but the development just took too long. So all the excitement and hype that I built up, because I started marketing it about 4 weeks before the launch was supposed to happen. But
And then
then
it got
four
pushed
weeks
back.
turned into 8 weeks, then 8 weeks turned into 12 weeks. And then we were like a year later, now it's ready.
Yeah.
So that was another failed venture essentially, but just kept going. Then like the stuff that's only been working and continuing to grow for me that has been just nonstop without failing is phone flipping, and then offering services to other phone flippers to help them essentially grow their business.
So with you've had a lot of failed startups.
Yeah.
Would you say that you know more about what works now and the right time to pull out of something that doesn't, or less about what works and more about the dedication of trying to make it work?
I would say it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Biggest thing, even it just in general with my life, is I sometimes have too high of a risk tolerance. So I'll push
Red
it.
blooded
I'll push,
Americans.
yeah, yeah. I'll push things where I know I should probably cut my losses and stop and just stop and just focus on something that's working. I'll sometimes just push things to the absolute limit until I just like essentially get wrecked or just occur a lot of losses and trying new things and it doesn't work out. So yeah, it's I would say it's 50-50, and it's kind of like a devil's advocate. I It's a blessing and a curse where you have that risk tolerance where you can kind of push yourself and see how far you can go until it's just like no, not possible. But then yeah, I don't know, it's hard.
Well, with high risk comes what?
High reward.
Exactly. So
Yes.
you'll never know unless you try and play the
Yeah, and
game.
that's my thing is I sometimes I like to just keep dreaming big because I know eventually if I have a million failed things, one's gonna hit and one's gonna be a big winner. So just got
I,
to keep trying.
I think you're onto something with this hands-free phone flipping.
I do too, man, and I know it's not going to be easily replicated because it's hard.
Yeah.
It is
So
hard.
tell us a little bit more about that since you've been through the trials and tribulations of 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
How did you come up with hands-free phone flipping? Because
So
you were already running the ads. You
I've
had the
noticed a
businesses
lot
of
of
flipping
people,
in Florida, and
yeah.
then you went through this almost creative process and then landed here. So what is that like?
So I've noticed that while I'm running all these people's ads, I have access to their inbox. I could see everything. So I noticed that a lot of people are really weak on following up. They give up after like two or three interactions. So if like, let's say if I message you and say, hey, I have an iPhone 11, but then you message me how much you looking for, and I just leave you on red,
Mm-hmm.
they end the conversation there and they don't continue to push that conversation going and still keep following up with that person. So I noticed that they're leaving a lot of money on the table. They're also just getting their emotions get attached to their leads. So they will sometimes treat a lead how they shouldn't treat because they're either in a
Oh
bad mood
yes.
or something like that. With me, I'm able to remove all those emotions and everything's just numbers. And if it makes sense for us, I'll close the deal and tell you, hey, you need to pick this up.
Mm.
So I figured that if I'm able to offer a service where I'm handling the marketing for them, I'm doing the negotiating, doing the following up, doing the quotes, doing the scheduling, just basically doing everything for them, and they just have to go there and meet the customer, that it would be a no-brainer because a lot of these people, I was seeing so much money just being left in the inbox of all these clients leads, but I also wasn't in the position to really tell them and like say, hey, you're not really handling these leads properly, like you're kind of just wasting money. um, but with this service I can tell them that because I'm doing everything. So there's really no I see no reason why they should fail or drop out of the business if I'm there side by side guiding them, especially because I have the 5 years experience. I've handled losses. I've been through fake iPhones, just everything essentially that they don't need to experience and not lose money.
Yeah, I think our biggest problem is so I have this store running Facebook ads because this is the electronics and cell phone store. And
Yeah,
I have partner stores that are running Facebook ads through you.
yeah,
The biggest thing with this store is I'm trying to be hands free. So I let everyone else reply to the leads, probably
hmm,
shouldn't have. I let everyone else talk to the customers, probably shouldn't have. I reply after hours when I care to. And if
yeah,
somebody's like, hey, I got to do this now, but I'll never meet somebody outside of the store because there's a security that comes with the store, similar to any of you who are watching now meet people at a police station if it's ever sketchy. The idea of having somebody else take it over is, for me, a little redundant because I have other people that should be doing a decent job. The idea of having somebody doing all the marketing and talking, the only benefit would be if we had like a laid out price list. And
yep,
so somebody was like, hey, I'm sending you A, B, and C, pay A, B, and C in pricing. So I think if you did that with store owners, that might work
yeah.
for you. because
So
we're
how it's working right now is I'm going off mostly Atlas prices. So if a customer comes in to your store and Atlas pays 825 for a 14 Pro Max, I always make sure that the customer or the store gets the phone for at least 725. So that way, if they can't sell it locally or in their store, they go ahead and they can still go ahead and sell to Atlas or to mostly any direct buyer. Because most direct buyers will match Atlas or compete with Atlas. So as long as they're essentially getting these phones at the proper price, then there should never be a question of, hey, can I even sell this phone for a profit? Um, so that kind of takes away that question of like, what should we pay or what like all
for
those different
for
variables.
some reason we get probably 1/4 of all phones either have a financial agreement
Yep.
still in
Yeah.
place or a contract. And
Yeah.
my biggest problem is none of my guys know how to deduct for a financial agreement or a
Yeah.
contract.
Yeah. There's really nothing that they need to deduct besides look at a direct buyer sheet and then pay what the carrier locked price is. So if they say it's AT&T, whether it's financed or not, they would just need to look at the direct buyer price of carrier locked phones and then make their quote according on that price. Because at the end of the day, in this phone business, we make our profit on the price that we purchase the phone, not what we sell it for.
So the idea is the cost analysis, really.
Yeah,
And so you're saying that financed phones shouldn't affect the pricing, but in a
no.
retail environment, then it restricts it to one carrier.
Yes, but here's the thing I've noticed with, at least from the retail stores that I've talked to, a lot of these retail stores are leaving tens of thousands of dollars a month in revenue just because they don't even know about direct buyers and they'll for that reason that like they won't buy finance phones because they can't sell in their store because of blacklist and things like that. So I've noticed that a lot of store owners don't really know the proper way of doing buybacks, especially on finance devices and these carrier lock devices or blacklisted or just any device that's not clean retail ready. They don't understand how to flip that and don't realize that there's 10 plus 20 buyers out there who will buy all these phones from them in bulk at margins to where they can make $100 $200 still profit per phone buying these devices. So that's why I think that this service is huge for them because they don't have to worry about training any in-house employees about finance phones, about direct buyer sheets, about deductions on crackbacks and how to quote with the crackbacks and all that little things that come into when you're actually becoming a phone flipper and buying phones from people on the streets with these paid ads.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say that we're the best. We do a lot of business, and
Yeah.
I'm happy with the business we do. There's always more. I know it's being left on the table. The
Yeah.
the problem for myself is we've already had bad experiences with direct buyers, and then you have the direct buyers that have gone in and out of business. Um,
Yeah.
and it makes it difficult because we used to buy iCloud phones as long as it wasn't
Yeah.
to the DOJ, and we're licensed for a pawnbroker's license, so we have to
Yeah.
run it through the DOJ. And so these things that aren't stolen, but even though they may be iCloud locked, blacklisted, we don't know the circumstance. Somebody could have filed insurance, done all that.
Yeah.
We can buy those if we have somebody to sell them to. So I used to sell them to Sutton or Depsy or any of those people,
Yeah.
and then they just don't buy them anymore. A lot of
Yeah.
people,
Atlas still buys them.
they buy
Um,
iCloud.
they buy iCloud locked as long as the status is clean. So that could be iCloud locked, but the iCloud status has to be clean.
Yeah.
And then also, like the thing with direct buyers is throughout these 5 years, um, I've built up a lot of relationships with direct buyers who I've done business with. So I know that they're trustworthy and they can pay well and pay on time. So that's the other thing that I can give to the store owners too, so they don't have to worry about their investment and their funds essentially not being safe, shipping it out to a sketchy direct buyer. I've kind of already done all the vetting and tested it out with my own money essentially
Yeah. So
to
what's
make it work.
what's the percentage you're taking off the back end when somebody sells it? And
So how it's
also,
working is we have a flat retainer. We have three different tiers, but the base level, the lowest way you could work with us is going to be $1,000 a month, and then we have a 20% profit share. But none of that profit share starts until you make back your $1,000 retainer plus your Facebook ad spend for the month. So if you're spending $20 a day, that'd be 600 for the month. So we would have to make you back $1,600 total before we start calculating our profit share on the devices. And I have everything all tracked and organized on a nice Google sheet. So it would have the retainer, the ad spend, and then all the phones, everything auto updates. So the client themselves can also see where they're at for the month. So they know if we're in the profit or if we're not in the profit.
How do you confirm that somebody doesn't report to you that they bought the phone?
That they like if a client tells me that, like doesn't tell me they bought the phone.
Yeah, so you send me hypothetically a
Yeah,
14 Pro Max.
yeah,
I get it from the customer.
yeah,
I pay them out. I run it. They get a clean tag,
yeah.
but then I never talk to them again on Facebook.
So a lot of this right now is I'm really only working with people who I kind of vetted and trust or worked with in the past. So a lot of this is going off of a trust base right now. But other things, other ways too that I'm kind of combating that is with reviews. So I tell each, like if you were my client, I say every time you get someone, let me know so I can push to let them leave us a review on our like Google, Facebook, things like that. So if I know they leave us a review, essentially I know they bought the phone.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I've thought about that too. I know there's going to be times where, speaking of that, one client's calling me right now. There's going to be times where there may be bleeds missed or I might miss a deal that they picked up. And I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, I work off of trust and I'm a handshake type of guy. So if I feel like you're kind of screwing me over, I'll communicate with you first. But then if it's just not kind of working out, then at the end of the day, I only want to work with people who I could trust. And if I have to fire a client, then it sucks, but I have to fire a client.
That is a big one for a lot of people. I am a big proponent of the customer is not always right, especially in this political day and age,
Yeah,
this civil day and age. You as a client are not always right.
exactly.
Because I still do consulting on the side for some business owners that I've come to build a relationship with on things that they do on their retail side or don't know how
Yeah,
to delegate. Because now I've been in business 9 years and I just can't fathom how some people work by themselves and then complain every day that they're not doing something they love.
yeah,
You know, they have to love it to be running a business. You either have to have that drive or that there is no B strategy mentality.
exactly.
There should be nothing else. And like I said, I'm in other cases, I'm trying to move more hands free for family time. I worked seven
Yeah,
days a week through my son's birth, you know, trying to make ends meet and make sure that there was opportunity. And a lot of
yeah,
people did. I know you probably did yourself.
yeah,
So, and I don't look for gratitude or admiration. You know, I get to come home to a warm meal every day and my
yeah,
kids freak out like nobody's business. My
yeah,
daughter's 6 and she'll do this like jujitsu run, jump off the shoe bench, hit the wall, and
yeah.
then leap onto me.
That's so
It's
funny.
I got to put a camera up for one of these days, dude. It's like you ever see those kid shows or shows back in the day, the sitcoms where it was like, "Daddy."
Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
I never expected it because I didn't come from a household like that, but I
Sure, that's a
know
great feeling.
it's a better accommodation to my hard work coming home even on a bad day to get
Yeah,
that type of feeling. So I know it's
that's
worth it,
awesome.
you know.
Yeah,
So that's one of the reasons we're moving. Florida was in the running, but if we had family out in Florida, we would have done it. Oklahoma's the first
what are you
stop.
doing with your shops?
The California shop will stay open. I got somebody that's going to run it to the best of their ability, and then I've got
Cool.
a new 4,000 square foot place that I posted about. I don't know if you saw it, but
Might have.
it's an upstairs place. It'll be repairs, home goods for my wife's stuff, and then
Nice.
I've got a set of 3D printers we'll be printing out and selling online. So It'll
That's
be
really cool.
it'll be interesting because it's under a different LLC, so I can do.
I was going to ask you, is it going to be a different name, like a different brand?
Yeah, because I've had this for so long, and it's more carefree. We fix shit for you.
Yeah.
Um, 4.5 star rated all around, but
Yeah.
I don't deal with the BS. So like I said, firing a customer is really hard.
Yeah.
But to me, I could fire a customer any day because my customer service over 9 years has gotten really tailored, and I could say that I'm a silver tongue. But there are
Yeah.
the people that just don't want to hear it or don't want their problem solved. Those are the
Yeah.
people that get told, "There's the door." You know.
Yeah.
You ever thought of opening, because you do a lot of consultation work inside of what you do? You tell people how to run their business, how to make sales. Why don't you do what Benjamin Rousseau and a lot of those guys do, and make a, hey, let me consult you on how to better sell or treat customers or interact. You could make an entire operating policy and
Yeah.
then teach these guys like a class, because you already do a phone flipping class.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about doing stuff like that too, almost where like I would essentially fly out, go in store, and teach them all the systems of what a street flipper would essentially do in a store. But it's just hard right now. I mean, I just got so much on my plate, essentially, just trying to figure out how to keep scaling and not be glued to my like phone 24/7 or yeah, I don't want to take on too much at the same time, essentially, and overwhelm myself where I then affect the quality of work that I'm giving the current people who do pay me um, every month.
You're also, I don't want to say too much, but you got some, the reason you're working so hard right now is you are delegating a bit of the task and
Yep.
expanding a bit. So
Yeah.
there's some new things coming out.
Yeah.
Any
It feels good.
tips or tricks you want to share with the people and let them know that you got some exciting news coming up?
I don't want to give out too much information because I know some people might be watching. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some big things coming in the works for 2023. The last 3 months of this year is right now is just me essentially getting systems and processes in place for my hands-free phone flipping. But in 2023, we're definitely going to be offering a lot more things, especially catered towards, I don't want to sound rude, but people who have the money to invest.
Hmm.
More automated stuff to where they essentially don't even need to see the phones. They don't ever have to touch the phones, inspect the phones. They just have to essentially wire money and then get money wired to them. But yeah,
Bigger business.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in the works. And then also going to be looking to become a direct buyer essentially here in 2023 to buy all the phones from the hands-free clients. So every time we close them a deal, they could just pack it up, ship it right to us, and then we'll just pay them out.
I can
So
say, as somebody who's heard some of this, it is definitely an exciting thing. So wait to see that. All right,
yeah, I
Chris.
appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. That's going to wrap it up here for today.
Yeah,
Anything you want to share with the clients? Anybody who's watching, future,
oh
present?
man, just keep on hustling and don't give up on the slow days because that's where people get made or broken in this business is when they give up on the slow months or the slow days and they just don't stop. You just got to stay consistent. And honestly, anyone can make a lot of money in really anything.
As I tell people, if your bank account isn't at zero, then you're doing well. So,
Yeah.
well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on here today.
Yeah. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. For anybody who doesn't know, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it with your friends. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Life can be super happy, life can be super sad. I'm trying super hard to separate the good and bad. I go back to my future just to get to